5-sentence parajumbles, little more time, little more stress than a 4-sentence parajumbles. You should look at the starter and you should look at links. If you don't have a clear starting sentence, you are in doubt, just look at the links and look at options which are closest to that. Now, if you see the options, there are 3 options starting with A and 2 options starting with B. So we can, as we read, you figure out whether A looks like a better starting sentence or B. Then we can easily eliminate 2 or 3 options depending on that. China, which is the world's second largest economy, is facing a crisis in its once booming property sector. Looks like a good starting sentence. Meanwhile, July data from China's National Bureau of Statistics showed that property investment fell in the country by over 12% year on year, which was the steepest fall this year. So B cannot be. There has been, so it seems to be a continuation. Meanwhile, as something else is happening. So I'll stick to A, then we need not look at this. Is it AD, AE or AB would be the next as we read through it. The start of the new construction by floor area fell by around 45%, which was the biggest fall in almost a decade. Its central bank, the People's Bank of China, last week made its biggest recorded cut in the 5-year loan prime rate to rein in the said crisis. The 5-year LPR, which was cut by 1.5 percent points to around 4.2%, would bring down the cost of housing mortgage repayments across China. So first it would be D because it has given you the full form of loan prime rate, and E is giving you only LPR. So you'd say China, which is the world's second largest economy, is facing a crisis in its once booming property sector. Its central bank, the People's Bank of China, last week made its biggest recorded cut in the 5-year loan prime rate, brackets LPR. First time you give the full definition, you mention in bracket what abbreviation you're going to use or acronym you're going to use later. So here it's been mentioned. So D has to come after E, before E. Then you have E. The 5-year LPR was cut by 1.5 percentage points to around 4.2%. And then you will say the start of the new construction meanwhile. So A, D, E, B, C or CB. BC looks better. CB, the start of the... No. It should be ADE. All right. This is a 5-sentence parajumble, which is a little longer, therefore more stressful than a 4-sentence parajumble. So here again, you look at the starting sentences, you look at the links and decide which one works better. China, which is the world's second largest economy, is facing a crisis in its once booming property sector. Meanwhile, July data from China's National Bureau of Statistics showed that property investment fell in the country by 12%. Now, between A and B, A looks like a very good starting sentence. B looks like it's going to continue from somewhere. So, we are left with options A, B, and C. A is a starting sentence. Let's look at which one goes next. The start of the new construction fell by floor area fell by around 45%, which was the biggest fall in almost a decade. Its central bank, whose central bank? China's. Its central bank, the People's Bank of China, last week made its biggest recorded cut in the 5-year loan prime rate LPR to rein in the said crisis. It's facing a crisis. Therefore, its central bank has made these moves to rein in, to control the crisis. So AD go together. Then continuing with LPR is E. The 5-year LPR, which was cut by 1.5 percentage points to around 4%, would bring down the cost of housing mortgage repayments across China. Meanwhile, July data from China's National Bureau of Statistics said that property investment fell in the country. Now, B is talking about, E is talking about mortgage payments and housing, and B is talking about investment in housing, which will end with how less investment in housing, how people not buying housing is affecting the new constructions in housing. All right. So A, D, E, B, C, or A is my correct answer.